I wanted to chat with Vanessa about sleep this morning because she is very much an expert in this field and just has some really great. Um, we have personally discussed just some really great tactics on that improving the process of your sleep and just like the overall aspect this has on our health and our wellness and our fitness journey. And so I'll let Vanessa um, take it from here and kind of like start that discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Um, I wanted to maybe when you asked me to come and talk about sleep, I thought maybe I can just try to give you my top 10 tips on sleep because we could literally talk about that all day. There's so much that can be done. But at the same time, there's little things that can be implemented that will make a huge difference on the quality of your sleep. And that's really what we're about here, is to increase the quality of your sleep so that when you wake up in the morning, you don't feel tired. Most of the women I work with, they're tired when they wake up. And so what we start doing is really addressing um, their nighttime routine, but even their morning routine, believe it or not, that has an impact on that. So and maybe before I start, maybe I can just let everyone know my certification. So I'm an integrated health practitioner, I'm a health coach, and I work um with busy, high achieving women that just are running a busy life and are needing to have their energy to chase their dreams and achieve everything that they want to achieve. So if that's you, that might resonate. So let's start with tip number one. And this actually has to do with the morning. So exposing yourself to morning sun, super inexpensive, available to everybody. It's not always sunny, but actually it doesn't matter if it's cloudy outside. But exposing yourself to morning sun within a couple hours of waking up is actually going to help to really tell your brain that it's daytime. And so it's going to help to regulate your cortisol curve, and it's going to help to prepare and set the stage for your melatonin production at night. So your melatonin is your sleep hormone, and we want it nice and strong to be able to not only sleep, but stay asleep. So exposing yourself to the morning sun is actually going to send very strong signals to your brain to go and anchor your circadian rhythm, which is just your internal natural clock. And most of us, we just haven't been in tune with our internal clock. And so sometimes our cortisol peaks really high in the morning and our melatonin takes a while to get produced. And so the idea is really just to create that nice rhythm. And you can achieve similar things, but actually watching the sunset. And I know you, Rachel, you're in a prime destination to be able to do that, but really watching the sunset, making sure that your eyes are seeing light coming down is going to really start signaling to your brain that we need to start producing melatonin. So it induces sleep. And that's a very good hack for kids as well. I know in a summer night, sometimes it's hard to get them to bed, but if they're actually outside at sunset time, you'll find they're just going to go to bed very smoothly because their brain gets the signal. So that's tip number one: morning sun or sunset. Tip number two is around those same lines, is to really reduce blue light exposure after sunset. So blue light exposure is your phone, it's your computer, it's your TV, it's anything that is sending a bright light signal. It's even your pot lights. So being super mindful of any light exposure that you get after sunset, because similarly, your brain, remember, it's a very, although it's very complex, it's also very primitive in some ways. So all it's catching is light. And so what the brain thinks is it's daytime. So sometimes when we're on our phone, on TikTok or on Instagram until 10:30, and then we turn that off and try to go to bed, it's hard for the body to know that it's time to go to bed. So really trying to be mindful of that. Also, especially with anything that's graphic. So if you're watching like a very violent or very intense show, it can be super hard to fall asleep again because your melatonin is just not going to be produced. Okay, so Just being super mindful of that. One hack I use is I have blue blocking glasses. So as soon as sunset is past, I'll put those on. So if I have to catch up on work at night, then at least I know that I'm not messing with my melatonin production. So that's a little hack. Another tip is to really anchor a sleep schedule. And I know this is going to sound like super simple, but we know that if you can at least aim to go to bed around 10 p.m., you're going to avoid that second wind at night. And I know you've all experienced this, but when you stay super stimulated until 9:30, 10, 10:30, you're going to actually get a second wind where you can go up until 2 in the morning, no problem. And that second wind is really just another surge of cortisol at night, which we don't want. We don't want that. Because that's really going to lead you to adrenal fatigue. It's going to lead you to, and over time, it can even lead to burnout. So we have to be super careful. So if you can aim to go to bed around 10-ish, then that way, is my internet okay? It's saying my internet is, can you hear it, or it's okay?
It's okay. It just it's slowing down your image sometimes, but it catches up. So we can still hear your voice, but it'll just like slow your image down and then it'll like catch up. So
Okay.
we're getting everything though. So
Good. So yeah, anchoring the bedtime around 10 p.m. is usually good. Another hack is to be careful. I know sometimes on the weekends we tend to like go to bed later and wake up later in the morning, but what that does, again, it's creating jet lag on your body. So if you're wanting to do that, just being careful that you're not doing it like more than an hour of your regular bedtime, more than 1 hour of your natural wake up time. Again, the idea is really just to keep that in clock, because your body, if it's on this cycle, you'll notice an impact on all levels. Your energy, you're not going to be as tired. You're just going to follow that natural rhythm that your body wants to follow.
Mhm.
So it's just being mindful that we don't self-impose this jet lag even on weekends, because I know a lot of us tend to do that, especially with kids. So just being mindful of that. The other thing is, so this is the fourth tip, is breathing through the nose at night. So if any of you here are mouth breathers at night, that's something that you absolutely need to start paying attention to. And some quick ways that you can know for sure that you breathe through the mouth at night is if you wake up with a really dry mouth, or if you have the urge of drinking a glass of water through the night, like if that's actually waking you up, then that's a sign that you're breathing through the mouth. And that sign would be if you're snoring. But basically what breathing through the mouth does is it's reducing your oxygen uptake. So that alone can result in you feeling completely tired and completely wiped in the morning. Like you're gonna feel like you've been in for 8 hours, yet you feel like you haven't slept. And that's usually a sign of mouth breathing. So quick tips around that. Some of you may have heard about mouth taping. And I know that sounds a bit scary, but actually it's a game changer. So if you can start breathing through your nose at night, it's so powerful. It can go up to changing the way your face, like the shape of your face, especially, and this is super important if you have kiddos, because if they're breathing through the mouth, it's actually creating a more narrow face and often crooked teeth. And so if you want to save on braces, just go sneak in their bedroom, put your finger under their nose and see if they're breathing through the mouth or their nose. And that's the mouth taping is actually super safe even for kids. I've been doing it with my son for over 2 years. He didn't even think anything of it, because for him, he felt so rested in the morning. It will have a huge impact on their behavior. So if your kids are like, they can't sit still, if they're always like fidgety, if in the day they have like these huge peaks of like being super angry, sometimes it's really just because their little brains just didn't get enough of the nutrients and the oxygen that they need at night. So sometimes we're looking for all these other solutions and it's just inside of us. So mouth breathing. And if you're curious, I actually recorded a podcast on this. Actually this week it went live. So the podcast is The Energy Upgrade. You can look that up, but I did a full episode on that. But mouth breathing, you can actually just buy a very basic cloth tape, put it diagonal like this. It doesn't have to cost anything. You're not going to choke on it, I promise. And the more you do it, actually, the better your nose will respond. The nose, actually, when you breathe through the mouth, will atrophy. So as you start breathing through your nose again, it will slowly start to feel better. And you'll have like less allergies, you'll have less bouts of asthma, you'll just be a more efficient breather overall, and you'll sleep, the quality of your sleep is going to increase. So
That's awesome, Vanessa. I'm so glad that you talked about this one because our oldest is a mouth breather, and we've been like discussing, like, we have talked about, I knew about mouth tape because of snoring. Um, Not for me, but maybe Troy.
yeah.
Like, I wonder if this is safe for kids to like do this with, because McCarthy's teeth are taking the impact of the mouth breathing. And but I've noticed the energy thing where some days he's just like, and it seems like he's sleeping so well, like he is out at night. And but I'm just like, man, this kid's like energy regulations through the day, where he hits those walls. And I was like, I wonder if this has anything to do with his sleep. So I'm so glad you did this, because I'm literally going to go drive to the drugstore today and get cloth tape for his.
Yeah. And you can buy, there's a company called Tape. So it's been designed by professionals around breathing. So what it does is, it's actually for kids, it's great because it's just a tape that's around your lips. So it doesn't feel like it's blocking your mouth. So sometimes with kids, they respond better to that. You can buy it on Amazon. So it's called Tape with a Y. But yeah, it's huge. So definitely worth looking into. And if any of you are wearing sleep tracking device, like, look at your scores. Just try it for one night and look at your scores, your sleep scores. It's dramatic. I wouldn't mention it otherwise. I wanted to mention something else around that. It will come back. Number 5 is, okay. Oh, I wanted to mention also, sleep apnea. Thank you, Chelsea, for bringing that's exactly where I was going. So sleep apnea, which is basically when you're choking on yourself at night, that is a result of long-term mouth breathing, because as I said, your nose will completely atrophy. And so the first sign is snoring. Then after snoring usually comes sleep apnea, and the soft tissues in the back of your mouth are going to get really loose. Like, we were really designed to be creatures that breathe through their nose. That's how we were created. And your nose will not only obviously clean up the air that you're breathing, so removing debris and toxins, but also like viruses and bacteria. So it's your first line of defense when it comes to your immune system. So especially if you're running down with a cold, like breathing through your nose, I know sometimes it's hard, but it's going to actually make you feel better. Okay, so Chelsea, you're saying, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you're suspecting sleep apnea, or if you're hearing your husband snore, absolutely, this is going to be like a $3 fix. Literally, all you have to buy is a $3 roll of tape. And it actually might save not only your husband, but your relationship, but both of your energy. Because if you have someone that snores in bed next to you, it absolutely is impacting you and the quality of your sleep. And that brings me to my next point, which is the light and the sounds in your direct environment, which are in your bedroom. So really considering, so let's talk about sound. So if you have someone snoring next to you, that is something that will impact the quality of your sleep. But also if you're living in the city, for example, and you hear sirens go on at 2 a.m, that's going to disrupt your deep sleep. Deep sleep is really when we heal and rejuvenate. That's when our body just like shuts down. And for that to happen, we need to reduce as much as possible any input, light and sounds. So I personally, I live in nature. I still sleep with earplugs. And like, I know there's super fancy. I even saw like Bose now have like sleep earplugs. I don't really understand that, but just like basic foam earplugs, again, like a $5 investment. And I want to say, like, for all the moms out there, don't worry, you're gonna hear your kids. Like, even through foam earplugs, it's if they have to wake you up, trust me, you'll hear them. But what it's doing is it's really just reducing the amount of stimuli coming in so that your brain actually can start to rest. That's really the goal. Um, and light. So light is super important because a lot of sleeping with, and even our kids are sleeping with maybe like a little lamp turned on at night. So what light does is it's impacting, again, the production of your melatonin. So when your brain sees light, and the way we capture light is actually through our eyes, even if your lids are closed. Okay, so this is going to sound a bit crazy, but even with your eyes closed, your brain is still capturing ambient light. And it's so potent, it's so powerful that even a post light across the street, even that little light coming through your window, is enough to deactivate your melatonin at night. Okay, so tonight I would like you to go into your bedroom and just be a detective. Look for any source of light. That could be that red dot on the TV. That is enough to deactivate your melatonin at night. And when that melatonin gets deactivated, what does it do? Well, you'll wake up in the middle of the night and you're not able to fall back asleep. And then obviously your mind is going to take over. So what we want is to avoid that. Have a red dot on the TV, put some tape on it. Make sure you have blackout blinds. That's super important. And then you can also just invest into a nice silk sleep mask. Again, a $20 investment that's going to save you, like it's going to improve the quality of your sleep dramatically. So you can wear a sleep mask. I like silk because it's gentler on the skin, gentler on the eyes. And for your kids, if they need, let's say, a little bit of light to go to bed, to go to sleep, I know some kids like that, sneak back in the room 10 minutes later, turn it off, because yeah, you want them to also have their melatonin. Melatonin is your sleep hormone, but it's also a powerful antioxidant, huge for immune system, huge for body repair and healing. So if we don't have that like dialed in, you're going to notice a huge difference on your energy and just your overall health over time. So it's a very important one. Okay, so talking about the environment in our bedroom, another tip is really considering the air we're breathing in. So it's believed that indoor air is 100 times more polluted than outdoor air. So of course, whenever you have an opportunity, opening your windows is going to be important. But then also being mindful of, okay, what is around you? Do you live near a golf course, near a cornfield, near an orchard or a vineyard where things are being sprayed? You're just starting to be a bit more attentive and curious about, okay, what is in my immediate environment? Because the goal of your bedroom is to create this sanctuary where when you lie down in your bed, you're actually healing, rejuvenating. That's when we have an opportunity to start aging backwards. It's the only time of the day, especially if you're a busy mom like I think you are. So what we want to do is create the right environment so our body actually can do what it's supposed to be doing. And if our body is breathing in toxins, maybe if you're suspecting mold in your home or in the bathroom next door, just pay attention to that, because what's going to happen is your body is not going to heal at night. It's going to fight off these toxins and it's going to stay full on working as opposed to resting. So two tips that you can do for that is you can invest in indoor plants. Again, super inexpensive. Snake plants, spider plants, lilies, those are amazing at cleaning the air. In my home, everybody has one on their nightstand table. It's non-negotiable. And we all have like 2 to 3 big plants in our bedroom. So quick fix, that's really going to make a huge difference on the quality of the air that you breathe. And then the other thing is that's a bit more expensive, but if you want to consider an air purifier, like for me in my home, everybody has an air purifier in their bedroom. To me, it's something that was important. But if you don't have the budget for that, start with plants. It's going to make a huge difference. But the air purifier is one of those things, when you always drink tap water and then you drink filtered water, you're like, oh, wow, this water actually is so good. The air purifier does the same thing. So when you start purifying the air in your bedroom, then you go in and you're like, wow, okay, why is this air feeling so good? Similar. Okay, so we've talked about air, we've talked about light and sound, we talked about morning sun and sunset exposure, we talked about bedtime, having like around 10 p.m. We talked about reducing blue light after sunset. Now I want to talk about 2 other things, supplementation. So sometimes we might do everything right, but our body is still deficient. All of us are deficient in magnesium. Magnesium is one of these super powerhouse nutrients that is responsible for more than 300 body functions, including detoxification, digestion, and calming your nervous system. We need all of these things all the time. And so unfortunately, we're all deficient because our soils are depleted. So one quick hack is you can just take a nice magnesium supplement at night. I recommend the magnesium. I'm going to put it in the chat. Magnesium biglycinate is my favorite. And for all women, I recommend 500 milligrams. Usually that's 2 capsules at night. You can take that 20 minutes before you go to bed, or you can take it as like just before you go down. It doesn't matter. For kiddos, I like to give them magnesium citrate, which is, that nature calm that we can find pretty much everywhere. Is the powder. It actually tastes really good. I call that their little evening tea. So I put about a teaspoon into this much hot water, and then we drink that before we go to bed. Kids are also deficient in magnesium. It's going to support their brain development, and it's going to improve the quality of their sleep as well. Especially if you have little ones that tend to actually wake up in the middle of the night, the magnesium is really going to help them. And then the other thing I like is the melatonin. I actually love to take at night. So I recommend because I find the other ones can make groggy. And I recommend like a low dose, 1 to 3 milligrams at night. You just hold it under your tongue for 2 minutes. But remember, when you take your melatonin in, make sure you're ready for bed, like sleep mask on, earplugs, because if you go back, turn on the lights, it's not going to be effective. So it's got to be when you're about to shut everything down. I always say to my husband, like, okay, we're done here. Sleep mask on, beauty rest is on.
I want to say something really quick.
So super important.
Just because your camera glitched at the one point, but I know what you were saying because we've discussed this. Vanessa, the spot where the camera glitched, Vanessa said liquid melatonin is the best melatonin to take. If I'm wrong, Vanessa, you can let me know. But I think that's where it kind of like glitched you a little bit, and so liquid didn't come out, so it was just melatonin.
Yeah, melatonin liquid, yes. And if you have any questions on that, you can always find me on Instagram and come and ask me, no problem. The last thing I wanted to offer is really more about, how we create these routines for our kids, our toddlers, our babies, where it's like, We wind them down, then it's bath time, story time, PJ, brush our teeth. There's a sequence. And the reason why we do that is so that their little brains understand, okay, it's sleepy time. Well, we have to do the same with our brains, especially that our brains are so much more solicited during the day. So it's important to create that ritual. So my invitation is to find what it is that can become a consistent ritual in your schedule at night. So, and I always like to prioritize the 30 minutes before I go to bed. So if you go to bed at 10, at 9:30, as a rule, all electronics should be turned off, and maybe you go for like a Epsom salt bath, or maybe you read 10 pages of a book, maybe you have a meditation, maybe you have a gratitude practice, and you bring that in at that time. All of those things are actually going to calm and get you to be in that parasympathetic nervous system, which is really the only place you can have that nice deep sleep. And remember, the deep sleep, you're only going to have it between 10 and roughly 1 or 2 a.m. So you want to maximize that. Like, you want to close your eyes and like within a few minutes dive right into this deep sleep. Because if you don't have that window, you're not going to get it later. Like, the rest of the night usually is your REM sleep. So your REM sleep is your dream state that usually happens in the last half of the night. So, and the REM sleep is also super important, obviously, your dream state. Another invitation is to start paying attention whether you're dreaming or not. I don't want you to remember your actual dream, but just remember if you were able to dream, because if we're in adrenal fatigue, sometimes we don't even have enough energy left to produce dreams, to dream. And that will make you so tired. You just think, let's say when you had to catch a really, really early flight and you had to wake up a couple hours or maybe 3 hours ahead of your regular wake up time. Do you remember that feeling where you're like, oh, everything is so hard and it's like your brain is so foggy? That's because you didn't get the REM sleep you normally get. So if ever you wake up with that feeling, that might be because you didn't capture that deep in that REM sleep. So the melatonin, the magnesium is going to help, but having that nighttime routine is also going to make a huge difference. So that's what I had for you.
I love it. Thanks for that.
Do we have any questions? I have Candace. Sorry, I missed that. Tried the mouth taping on and off, or no, due to sinus issues. It actually takes me just to fall asleep. Yeah, I would say, Candace, so it takes on average, studies are showing 6 months to reverse months of breathing through the nose to reverse any damage. If it doesn't matter how long you've been mouth breathing, but let's say it's been 35 years, it still will take about 6 months for the nose to reshape itself and for all the tissues in your nasal pathways to also start reshaping themselves. So give it a try. But of course, if you're so uncomfortable, then maybe it's something that you can ask your doctor about. There's also the nose strips that might help. But yeah, plants, Shauna.
I love that you
Plants.
suggested plants, because I'm gonna be like, Troy, I have to go plant shopping again. The doctor said it. Chelsea, I see you nodding. I'm like, all of us are very thankful for this.
Yay! Snake plants. Spider plants are the ones that have been shown to pull the yeah, Chelsea, I can see your background there. I'm surrounded by plants too, but snake plants, spider plants, lilies, the ones with the white flower that comes off, those ones are amazing. They're powerhouses. And literally what, like $10? Yeah. Like everybody in your family deserves one next to their head on their nightstand. And this is something I didn't mention, but trying not to sleep with your phone next to your head is huge because of EMF radiations. So really trying to either have your phone on airplane mode or actually not even in your bedroom. Like, I charge my phone in my kitchen. It's not even in my bedroom. So I know that one is harder, but it's a huge one.
It is. It's so hard. Because I'm all about that. Like, I'm like, we need to get like rid of the phone next to the bed. It's so weird how it has like this control on us where I feel when I put the phone in the kitchen, how I'm like, ugh, like I feel so out of sorts right now. Just putting it in the other room. That's definitely something I need to practice. Um, because I have this like, I'm like, what if someone needs to get a hold of me during the night? Like, what if it's a family emergency? So if you put the phone, like not next to you, but like just at a dresser across the room, is it helpful or is it still
Yeah, I always say if you can plug it on the opposite wall as far away as your head as possible, it's
okay?
okay. And just so everyone knows, when you're on airplane mode, your alarm clock is still going to ring if you're using your phone as an alarm. But
I think when you're in airplane
I
mode
always tell my
too,
clients to actually
I put it on like I don't put it on airplane mode, but I'll like put it on like the do not disturb thing. But if you have it on airplane mode, does it still if it's an emergency call, does it still send that through? Because you know how you have your emergency numbers that you can like put in. Vanessa, we might have just
I think if it's listed as your emergency contact,
yeah,
you know how you can do that?
yeah,
I think so, but that would need to be tested. Um, yeah, so I mean it's really up to your own personal, you know, comfort level,
okay,
but definitely having it next to your head is not good because it's just imagine it's sending radiations
right.
all the time, and so your body just your brain can't relax.
I have
Um,
a question because this is kind of like off the topic of sleep, but it's something that really affects our brain. So I was chatting with Tori about this last night. What is your thought on earbuds? Because I love earbuds for my workouts and for like when I'm walking. But I recently heard that like the amount of radiation that goes into our brain from earbuds is like sticking your head in a microwave for like
yeah.
a certain amount of time. And I was like, my brain, like brain health is a really important thing for me for like mental health, but then also like Troy has family who's suffered from like Alzheimer's and things like that. So we're aware like of the brain health situation. And so I was like, I'm gonna ask her this morning, like her
No,
thoughts.
no, you know, I know they're convenient. I know they're so handy, but they're probably the worst thing you can do because it's like the radiation is going right into your ear, right into your brain.
Yeah.
So there's this company called Defender Shield. They have an amazing products, but in particular, like these are my headphones. They have this tube here. So I don't know if you can see, but it's not a wire, it's actually a tube. And so the Wi-Fi kind of ends here, then it's really just through like an echo chamber that the sound gets circulated. So when I have this in my ear, I actually don't have any radiation coming in. I've had these for 3 years, so quality is unreal. The sound is spectacular. I do my workouts with it, I run with it, so it's very durable. You still have a wire, but this is definitely my recommendation, especially if you're someone that wears a lot like headphones quite a bit in the day. Definitely worth it. So the company is called Defender Shield. And I even bought I bought some for my kids, so they have the big ones. So both my kids have that. So it's so funny because actually just before I jumped on this call, I shared on my Instagram a study that was done where they planted baby seeds for plant seeds, and they had one container was with Wi-Fi next to it, and one was with no Wi-Fi. And the one with Wi-Fi, like it just was flourishing and growing, and the other one, it took forever to have any sprouts coming out. And it's just showing us, like, it's a real thing. Like it's
Yeah.
not, we can't see it. It's not visible,
Right.
but it's definitely tangible, like the results. And you know who suffers the most from it is our kids.
Yeah.
They're little sponges
Yeah.
to it. So it's super important to be aware. I always say one of the safest thing you can do is just turn your Wi-Fi off at night.
Yeah.
We bought, you know, one of these timers. can put on your outdoor lights or on your pool or whatever. They're like super inexpensive. We added that timer on our router. So at night it shuts down at 11 p.m. and it reopens at 6 in the morning. But then that way nobody gets those radiations at night. We've noticed a huge difference on the kids' sleep when we did that. Again, like I wish this was common knowledge because it needs to be so important.
It's so interesting because I was thinking about this last night, because it kind of feels like, I mean, like Wi-Fi is everywhere, like, and I have friends that like obsess over this, and are very concerned about this. But I think that like when we have um, a device like we're using, there needs to come like safety precautions with this. And that's the interesting thing. We have been given these like electronics that are like doing a lot of things to our body, and there's no like safety protocol with them. And something that I just recently learned, just for a little tip for those of you who are watching like videos, or like even watching this video later, or like watching YouTube on your phone, if you just take foil and you make like a little like covering for your phone, like sandwich your phone in the foil, it like cuts the radiation of your phone like down to like I think the study I was watching, it was like at 125, and it like cut it down to like something like 10%. Like it's a massive cutter. And the guy was like, you can just like make little boxes for your kids' room, like little shoe boxes for your kids to put their devices in, just so that the radiation's not hitting them. And for the boys, I think about that because they're sitting doing school with the laptop on their lap, and I'm like, okay, well, they're like, their sex organs are like right there, and so this is affecting them. And I think that I don't want to be walking around like trying to put out a fire for like every health thing. But I think the major things that we're using on a daily basis, we need to be looking at, because these are like, going back to the sleep thing, we have people who are like suffering from sleep apnea and all these like issues and energy issues and hormone imbalances. And it's like, there's like, it's not just supplementation, it's not just your workout, like there's other aspects that are like working
Oh
in
no.
your day-to-day lifestyle, which are like habits and electronic devices you're using. It's like, okay, let's look at the major factors that are working in on your day-to-day things. And so yeah, I just think this, yeah, so I think that like, yeah, just look at those things, see how they're affecting your body. And I think I just lost you, Vanessa.
Okay, I think I just came back. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, we need to like, if anyone else has any more questions, Vanessa, I want to wrap it up to really your honor your time on this. But thank you so much for everything you brought this morning. So helpful. One of the things I like love about the coaches on this 8-week challenge is that you guys have all been so amazing at like giving really, really just like amazing tips that you can apply to like right now. Like it's not super complicated. It's like, write those 10 things down. Vanessa, we're going to be sending this video out to like everyone on our challenge. And Vanessa, can you just really quickly in the little chat bar, can you put your social media or your website link, just so people who are on here right
Yeah.
now, yeah, can go ahead and just, Vanessa posts like so many helpful videos. And so she's so amazing to follow. And she also does like one-on-one virtual coaching. I've done coaching with her in terms of just some different health things that I've walked through. So this is like a personal experience, not just like, hey, you seem really cool, you should come chat on this call with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm sorry my internet was weird. I don't know what happened.
That's okay.
EMFs, right? We have to be.
I know it happens. You're probably probably blocking it too much right now. The internet's like,
I
this girl's
know.
got too many safety shields.
But so much. It was, I hope it was helpful. And yeah, thank you
Yes.
also for putting this challenge together and kicking our butts. That's awesome.
Yes. Eventually, Vanessa and I like tossed around the idea of, Vanessa actually does this like really amazing um, cleanse, and like sets you up with the kit and everything. And so we have tossed around the idea of doing a challenge for if you're
Detox.
going for like a little bit of a deeper detox on your body. And I know that's like kind of a whole different thing, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna put that out there. Like if you're watching this video and you're like, hey, I feel like I could go into like a little bit of a detox, it's definitely something we're looking at adding into daily routine fitness for the fall that you could do just to kind of like cleanse the body out. It's something that I will be doing. So excited for that. And it feels like it'll be the right time in the fall for my body to be doing that. So kind of, I like to like bring that up just so you guys have time to kind of like process that, because it's almost like you have to like be mentally ready and physically ready to do this. So if you're interested in that, you can go on Vanessa's Instagram and kind of like look at what she does with that cleansing process and what that looks like. It's a very gentle approach to kind of like realigning the body. So thanks, Vanessa, so much again for everything. And ladies, any questions that we missed or kind of come up later, feel free to message me and I'll make sure that Vanessa and I hit those questions for you. Otherwise, everyone have a great start to your Thursday, and I'm going to see you on Monday night. See you guys. See you, Chelsea. See you, Shanna, Jody, Josie. See you, ladies.